Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Danny Laurel. Now here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The national government's debt service bill rose in 2022. That's off of the back of more amortization payments. Data from the Treasury showed that government's debt payments increased by 7.4% to 1.293 trillion pesos last year. However, this was slightly lower than the program debt service of 1.298 trillion pesos. Meanwhile, the Bangko Sentral expects a narrower balance of payments this year and in 2024 due to a projected decrease in the current account shortfall. The BOP stood at $7.3 billion deficit in 2022. Now, heads up motorists, oil companies are set to implement big-time rollbacks on fuel prices. Effective tomorrow, March 21st, gasoline prices will see a decrease of 1 peso and 20 centavos per liter. Diesel prices, on the other hand, will be slashed by 1 peso and 85 centavos per liter. Kerosene will see the biggest rollback at 2 pesos per liter. The Securities and Exchange Commission has provided a list of projects eligible for Blue Finance under the draft guidelines. Under the proposed guidelines, eligible issues must provide clear benefits that their activities can supply to Ocean Health. The SEC enumerated 6 eligible activities, namely water supply, water sanitation, ocean-friendly and water-friendly products and sectors. Also eligible are sustainable shipping and port logistics sectors as well as the fisheries, aquaculture, and seafood value chain. Meanwhile, harmful activities such as fossil fuel generation are ineligible for bond issuance. The Commission is set to review the decision of SMC Global Power to terminate 2 power supply appropriate pleadings for the withdrawal of the PSAs. According to the Malanta, such motions will be reviewed by the Commission. 2 subsidiaries of SMC Global Power, Excellent Energy Resources and Masinloc Power Partners had terminated their PSAs with Meralco. The ERC said the deals covered 1,800 megawatts in the next 2 years. Now, in a separate statement, Meralco said available options include the possibility of requesting another round of competitive selection process for its requirements. On to some global updates. Switzerland's largest bank, UBS, has agreed to buy its rival Credit Suisse in an effort to avoid further turmoil in the global banking system. The historic deal was orchestrated by Swiss regulators for a price tag of $3.25 billion. UBS will also assume Credit Suisse's losses pegged at $5.4 billion. This deal came after Credit Suisse's plan to borrow up to $54 billion from the Swiss Central Bank failed to reassure investors and the bank's customers. We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. you're still watching One News Now. I'm Danny Laurel. The Great British Festival is returning to the Philippines after 4 years of a hiatus. This event will showcase trade growth between the UK and the Philippines while highlighting British brands. It will be held at the Amphitheater and C1 Park along Bonifacio High Street in Taguig City from March 25th to 26th. The festival is organized by the British Chamber of Commerce Philippines and the British Embassy in Manila. And here with us to chat about what to expect and how this event could help the Philippine economy, we have with us Chris Nelson, Executive Director and Trustee of the British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines. Hi, Chris. Welcome back.
Yes, and good morning, and welcome to all your viewers.
Chris, give us an idea of what to expect in this year's festival, how important this actually is for the trade relations between our two great countries.
Look, it's very important. It's a very good statement. As you said, we're reviving the British Festival. It's been 4 years, as you mentioned. And obviously what we're here is a statement that the British trade and investment has already reached a high of 2.1 billion. And I think it will reinforce the presence of British companies, presence of British brands. We have participating 36 companies. And along with that also, the culture, the rich culture that comes from the UK. And I'd just like to mention that program is being managed by the British Council. So it's a very important statement reinforcing our 77 years of relations between the two countries, and obviously looking forward to taking trade investment to further heights.
Chris, give us an idea of what type of activities are lined up. Are these cultural activities? Are there, corporate activities? What kind of companies are going to be participating here?
Sure. So I think from the companies perspective, I mentioned we have 36. We've grouped them into different sectors. So we have a financial sector, we have a retail, educational, general business. I think just some of the companies, we'll have our major companies, Shell, HSBC, Pru Life. I think the other ones that we'll see are going to be Marks and Spencer's, key retailers, and some of our other corporates such as CyberQ, which is a obviously cybersecurity company. We've got Yummy Organics, which obviously deals with foods coming in. One World Butcher, which again is going to focus on quality pork, as you can see behind us. So obviously people visiting will be able to see the rich parametics, also Coventry Motors displaying cars, the rich parametics of British brands, and obviously food and beverage. But also linked to that on 2 days, we'll have performances of bands with obviously songs or music that relates to the UK.
Any special bands from the UK coming?
Unfortunately, not bands from the UK. We have to use Philippine talent, which of course are very good at doing British covers, music covers, such as obviously the Beatles, Spice Girls. We'll have all the different ones. And then on the day 2, it'll be more of a cultural focus where you'll see Ballet Philippine, we'll discuss Shakespeare, and we'll obviously give people that rich canopy of British culture and atmosphere. So in conclusion and in summary, what we have is a wide range of British companies who are here today doing business. We have obviously other brands that are coming in. And at the same time, supported by the culture. And again, I'd like to just emphasize our partners in this, of course, is the British Embassy and the British Council.
Chris, can you walk us through a little bit of history of the presence of the UK here in the Philippines? Because we're very well versed when it comes to, of course, the Spanish relations, the American relations. We are not, for instance, a former colony or part of the Commonwealth. So give us an idea of the interest of the UK in being not just in this part of the region, but particularly in this country.
Well, that's true. Obviously your rich history does relates back to obviously Spain and obviously US, America. But look, the UK has actually been in the Philippines a number of years. In fact, I went down to Iloilo and there was an inauguration of a building related to a consul from the Philippines, from the UK, which had been in the Philippines since the 19th century. And that's because the sugar trade was a critically important factor. So history does date back quite a long way. And then the relationship between the two countries has obviously continued. And I'd like to say continued because let's not forget, within the UK, as estimated by the Philippine Embassy in London, there are over 200,000 Filipinos
True.
living in the UK.
True.
And that's created a great bond. And obviously, we've been highly supported by obviously talented workers. And linked to that, as we've seen developed over time, UK companies have been here a long time. And I just like to mention some of them. I mean, Standard Chartered, I was there to celebrate. I think they've been 175 years,
Wow.
if my memory is correct. HSBC has been a long time established bank here. And then I look at others, which is a more recent addition, and that shows you that the interest level between the two countries is continuing. And in 77 years, let's also forget, and I'd just like to bring up the current administration. I mean, obviously, President Marcos Jr. attended Oxford, so he's got close connections with the UK. And I think those ties are reinforced, A, by this event, and by continuing activities. I mean, we have a very vibrant, for example, Oxford and Cambridge Association here, and that's another way of reinforcing the close ties. So, yes, we don't have the same links as the other two countries mentioned, but we have a rich history in our own right, and more importantly, continuing closer relations. And I think the UK is very keen to support and be part of the continuing growth story of the Philippines.
Chris, one last question before we let you go. Your thoughts on RCEP finally being ratified?
Well, delighted. I mean, I think we've discussed it on this program. I've discussed it on other occasions. RCEP allows the Philippines to join the largest trading bloc in the world. I think it will benefit from it. And I think more importantly from us, when we're constantly trying to get British companies to do trade and investment in the Philippines, we stress that the Philippines is an important market in its own right, but also a gateway to Southeast Asia. And by ratifying RCEP, that further segments the importance of the Philippine market and gives great opportunities. So I'd like to thank, obviously, the Senate. I think the bill was actually led by Senator Lauren Lagarde, and I think, of course, the Senate President for getting through, but also everybody's work, business groups, and of course, Department of Trade and Investment, particularly Under Secretary Alan Gepti, who we worked closely with. So, yes, very good decision, and I think it will lead to more foreign investment.
All right, great. So we'll see you there, March 25th to 26th over in Taguig City. Thank you so much, Chris Nelson, Executive Director and Trustee of the British Chamber of Commerce of the Philippines.
Thank you very much, and we look forward to seeing you and all the visitors at the event next weekend. Thank you very much, Dami.
Thank you so much. And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Danny Laurel. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.